Good morning and welcome to a very special episode of JCT's Fascinating Hobbies. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Packard Bell 486 SX25. We're going to be fitting a new hard drive, and my son, Christian, who has his own channel, ECZ Adventures, is going to be working with me to see just what it used to be like to actually have to set up a PC. So without further ado, let's get cracking. So first off, I've got this pen and paper, we've got the PC, we've got the keyboard and mouse behind us, but what we also have is this new hard drive. Well, I say new, it's an old hard drive, but it's to replace the 420 meg Kona drive that we had in there. This particular drive is actually a bit of an upgrade because it is a Seagate ST3660A, which is a 545 megabyte drive. Right, to give you an idea, Christian, you have a 320 gigabyte drive in your computer, which is small by today's standards, but that
320 gigabytes.
320 gigabytes, yeah.
That's still quite big.
It's small by today's standards, but this particular drive only has 545 megabytes. So your drive has
Loads and loads more.
I'm trying to work it out.
Something
so it's
million.
1 gigabyte, over 320 times the capacity. So
That's
probably
a lot.
325 times the size of that one. And it's all in the same 3.5 inch form factor that this one comes
My
in.
PC is still rather powerful.
It's okay, yeah. So the first thing we need to do is we need to write down the details of this particular hard drive. So let's bring the camera over so we can get a bit of a view of the paper. So this particular hard drive has 1057 cylinders. (16 heads) and 63 sectors. So you can see I'm getting the information from the top of the drive. So 1057 cylinders, 16 heads, and 63 sectors, which equates
545.
0.5 megabytes. That 0.5 is quite important. We've also got some jumper settings as well, and we have in this little bag the jumper pin.
Well,
or the jumper itself.
That bag's a bit too big for that tiny thing.
So if we look at the back of the drive, that
Spinny thing.
is where the jumper pins would go if we were going to set it up in a jumpered state. And if we look at the front of the drive again, you can see the 4 pins there. If we were running this as a master, so master and slave cable select refer to ATA manual for usage. Master slave is not ATA compliant. We would put in the jumper onto these pins here, these 2 here, which I've just got my finger under.
So, what does this master and other thing mean?
So basically, if you've got a master and slave, that drive will be first in the chain. So that will be the drive that the computer sees first and sees as its master. The slave will be the drive that it sees second. So effectively, if you've got, say, this IDE cable here, which I'm holding up now, if you had a slave, you would actually have another IDE slot on IDE connector on here. So you would set the top one usually as your master, so that will be this drive. Or is it the other way around? No, hang on a minute. You would have one of these go into what would be a CD-ROM drive, you'd have the other one go into the hard drive, if I remember rightly. So you would have this one as slave at the end of the chain, and this one as master if it had another slot. Now technically I'm actually using incorrect terminology, because you don't really refer to IDE connections as chains, it's just SCSI. SCSI is more sort of chains, but this would just be a master-slave config. So what we actually need is a screwdriver at the screwdriver box. If you could go to the screwdriver box over there and retrieve us a cross-headed screwdriver.
Should I just take the box closer?
Yes. Thank you. Right, what I need you to do first is to undo that screw and that screw.
Which hand should we do it with? Don't know which hand.
Whatever hand you feel most comfortable with.
Yeah, I'll probably do it with my left, because that's the closest. Is this my left? Yeah.
So you want to control the screwdriver, so you hold the shaft like that and then you just turn it like that.
Oh, this is quite a bit easier actually.
So you have both hands on it, so you can control of it, and also you can put pressure down onto the screw. So you take the screw out and just pop it onto the paper.
Not
That's all right. Now it's loose, you can do this. You can just use your fingers.
That's what I was
Take it out
doing
like
just
that.
now.
So if you do the bottom one now.
Keep knocking the camera that's right next to my chair.
That's okay, we'll move it a little bit there. So if you do the bottom screw now.
Bottom screw. Okay.
That one there.
What do these screws connect to?
They connect to this metal cradle here.
Well, this one's done quite tightly.
Okay, so reach into the machine and just pull that metal cradle out.
Which way should I?
It'll go backwards towards the back of the machine. So go and lift it up and out. Now, what we need to do now is we take our new hard drive and we will be mounting that onto there and screwing it in place. First off though, we're going to put that jumper on. So back when you would have done this originally, you wouldn't have had any phone cameras or anything like that. So you would have had to do this by either memorising this side or drawing yourself a little sketch. So we have connector, and we have the 8 jumper pins. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And what we need to do is we need to set it up as a master. So master and slave is ATA compliant or standalone and no slave. We could leave them all blank with no connector on them at all, but at some point I'm going to want to connect a CD-ROM drive, and to make my life easier it will be easier just to put the jumper on now. So master slave is not ATA compliant, so we're going to use that one to be safe. So that will mean we need to put the jumper onto these pins.
Okay. Oh, stop messing around.
So if we turn the drive over, we can now refer it to our little diagram.
Okay, that's going to be hard to pick up.
That's going to be interesting. So we can refer it to our little diagram. There's our connector.
Spinny thing which doesn't actually spin.
There's a motor inside there, so that spins the hard drive platters.
I thought so.
So we've got the connector.
There would probably be something like a motor in there.
So we've got the jumper select, we've got the main connector, we've got the Molex power connector, and we've got the jumper select. So we're going to have to put it
You said that twice.
onto these little pins here. This is very fiddly. It's even more fiddly trying to do it whilst holding the camera. My fingers are too big for this. Normally you'd have a pair of tweezers or something to do
Should
this.
I do it? Because my fingers are a bit small. Even though my hand is huge. Because it's... No, it doesn't. I should stop saying things and I...
You could give it a go.
Yeah.
So, there we go.
My hand's huge, but the fingers aren't very big.
So put it on to these ones here.
So which way round? Okay, this is rather fiddly. Maybe there? No. I don't know. Can you do it any way round? What does this thing do?
It's a jumper select, so it basically tells the drive it's going to be a master.
It's tiny though.
Yeah, these are actually the smallest I've seen. Some of them are bigger.
Yeah, and the
In
left.
fact, the more popular sized ones are actually a lot bigger than this and a lot easier to manipulate.
Yeah, I can't do it. Very fiddly.
I'm actually going to put the camera...
The camera doesn't need to see.
down again.
Is that from the puppies? Or they scratch their hands?
Yes. So, there we go. Done. That was a lot less painful. So, now that's done, what we need to do is we need to mount it to this bracket. So this is the end that goes into the case, in the front of the case. So that means we're going to be mounting it like this. Now, do you see that I'm aligning it with the screw holes, threads on the bottom of the drive?
Yeah.
So what we need to do now is we have a look at our extensive screw collection and we pick out 4 screws which are correct for this.
There's some golden ones which probably aren't made up of gold.
So
Aren't those little things that are on the like the little points, the little golden coloured points? They are actually real gold, aren't they? On the I don't know, on the like circuit boards that.
Oh, some circuit boards do actually have bits of gold on
Most
them.
of them
Connectors are usually sort of gold plated.
Most of them do.
Gold is a very good
Yeah.
conductor of electricity.
Yeah, I know.
So, put
But
these in.
this isn't made out of gold.
No, that's more sort of like brass or just gold sprayed metal.
Like
There we go.
basically sprayed to look like gold, but it's not gold at all. But most circuit boards
I should
have.
actually have had 4 of
gold
those,
in
but I only got 2 for some reason. But the drive is
1, 2, 3,
firmly
4,
in place.
5.
If you don't have 4, and I will be getting some more of those little screws at some
1, 2, 3,
point,
4, 5, 6.
I tend to put them in diagonally. So one there and one
can't
there.
see
And that's
any
enough to support
I
the
can't see
drive.
any different ones between all these 6 ones. Wait, are the heads different? I thought this one.
So we now put the drive in, like so, and slot it forward. So that it meets up with the front. There we go. And we can now screw the drive in place. There we go. And we will put the IDE connector into the drive. Put the power connector